looking to see a good matchup here today.
Yep. This is the initial round of the group stages. Both of these are, or obviously they're both in the same group, Group W. So the winner
W.
will move on. The loser will also move on still. In the group stages, you have to lose twice. It looks like we're off.
And for anyone new to Combo Randomizer, you'll see they're starting off here in Super Metroid, and momentarily they'll be passing through a door and they'll be onto a Link to the Past. And they just want to collect items in order to be able to progress through all of the required dungeons and beat Ganon and Mother Brain and save the worlds.
Yeah, early on you'll see them do a lot of the same checks. There's some fairly item-dense areas. Speaking of, there's a nice item right there for Super. That could actually be kind of bad, but...
So lackattack, looking at the island, just dropping off the ledge before saving and quitting, he sees 50 rupees on the ledge. He's not gonna wind up going back there later on. It's a very common play. Speed Booster is really nice. It actually unlocks a few items in Super Metroid right off the bat. And 8 bombs
that is an amazing tree pull.
I believe that's tier 3.
Yes, you start out armed with a tier 3, I believe.
Some super missiles on Uncle. So they're probably gonna want to check tier 1 tree pull, see if they can hopefully get some rupees. That's going to be important for the Kakariko trip coming up. Yep. They could always find rupees in chests, but you never know with Combo Randomizer. There could be all of the rupees in Metroid.
There are a lot of different rupee rewards, but when you count on them to be there, they're not there.
Mm-hmm. There are a couple options for rupee farming coming up. There's going to be a hoarder, a little bush crab under a bush that will drop a random selection of an item. It's dependent on what seed they're playing. They'll drop, I believe, 6 of one item and then 1 of another, and then rinse and repeat. Unfortunately, it's just arrows today.
Not one of the more useful drops it can do. I believe that's just the Arcane and Bacardi on the ledge, so that's not likely going to come into play at all.
Okay, yeah. And they might need the cape to get through Aghanim anyway, if they have to do it at all.
Yes.
Maybe it's kind of a toss-up between a cape and a second sword.
Yeah. And what both runners are trying to accomplish with that particular check is to see... It's a nice ice beam right there. But the runners are trying to see if Aga right away is going to be required in the seed. He still might be required for Dark World access, but right now, the chances of him being required are not very high.
So Ice Beam is interesting. It puts... it is used in some of the logical checks in Super Metroid, but a lot of the Super Metroid items kind of unlock the same things, like high jump, ice beam, space jump, bombs. Basically, we refer to some items as can fly, which basically means they can just vertically ascend wherever they need to at any point in time. And 300 rupees is nice.
Speaking of money. They've also got a couple of early energy tanks in this seed.
Yeah, I believe in the normal difficulty of of this combo randomizer, they will not ever be required to run through heated rooms without suit protection.
Correct.
But in harder difficulties, they can be required to have a certain amount of energy to survive runs.
And getting the glove in the well. It's also nice to get an early glove. And the hookshot, okay.
Nice. Hookshot is especially good early because you can stun enemies, and that will give you a set prize pack for it'll give you a set item for killing the enemy when it's stunned. Hopefully we'll have something useful this time. Nice little refill on bombs in the chicken hut. Can never have too many of those.
Yeah, bombs are super important for this early Kakariko South Shore routing. And there's the pearl.
Nice. Okay, that's 2/3 of our Dark World access. We either need another glove or the hammer.
This has been a very friendly village.
Yeah, it tends to be. Kakariko has so many items, and there's like no requirement to go there, so it tends to have a lot of your early progression. Although there are some who love to gamble on skipping Kakariko entirely. It's their dream to not have anything required there. It does a lot of checks. It costs time to check places, but at the same time, you need to be checking places to get items.
Yeah, and there's not many places that have the same density. So there's the worth for the payoff for checking that early is normally much better than trying to skip it.
Mm-hmm. On the other hand, there's something just to be said for going to the other places and getting them out of the way. Even if you do wind up having to go back to Kakariko, your opponent is probably going to go to where you've already been anyway. So early game routing is kind of interesting where like people will diverge, but they'll come back together at some point.
Hookshot also does wonders in the mini Moldarm cave here.
Oh, absolutely. There are a few enemies that are just straight up one shot by a hookshot. Bottle could have used that a bit earlier. Charge beam, we could use that all game pretty much.
Yep. Flek is making the long trek over to Ice Rod Cave. Afterward, he'll have some options whether he wants to just save and quit, or maybe fake flipper to some items. Those items will obviously be out of logic because it doesn't have the flippers. But that is a check with Pearl in hand that can lead to a couple of extra checks near Zora.
Yeah, there tends to be a pretty significant difference between what a player can check and what the game expects the player to be able to check. And it'll place items in such a way that you will never need to use any glitches to beat either game.
And the kind of already an Ice Rod Cave. That is.
Is it some Mario?
Yeah, that was
Nice.
found in Ice Rod Caves. That's some really good items early on.
And the glove is...
And the
oh, wow.
mitts.
Opening up another glove in Back of Escape today.
That is Dark World access before 10 minutes.
That's a little scary. I don't know about you, but personally, I usually want to go back into Super Metroid as soon as I can, but having so much A Link to the Past open is that's a lot of checks, and
There's a
it can
lot
be a
open
little
right now,
overwhelming.
yeah.
And Cane of Samaria for Flek as well.
Yep, and Lack, it looks like, is going to be chasing that Dark World right away.
He's gonna get his not getting his sick hit out of the way first.
Might have overlooked he got the bottle.
As possible. It's kind of easy to forget that.
There's a lot of items in the game, so sometimes you forget stuff.
Okay, we got a green pendant at Misery Mire. We got a pendant on Swamp Palace. 5 crystal on Ice Palace.
Not even random.
And the rest are just regular crystals.
And Dark remembering the bottle. And not...
just super missiles, but it'll come in handy.
Those will be handy. It would have been more handy if they hadn't got charge.
True.
But without any beam besides ice, that's still their best way to damage stuff right now.
Yeah, basically until you get plasma, you kind of, as far as bosses go, you tend to rely on super. And key hunters as well are pretty beefy enemies that you tend to want to deal with as quick as possible.
So we are seeing some nice bit of divergence early on. Lack chasing Dark World right away. Dark is going through, still doing the Light World checks.
Yeah, important to note that the game always assumes you have access to bombs in A Link to the Past. So a lot of these bombable walls will be immediately available when you start the game. So you never know if you can find a required item just always available, and it could take a while for lackattack to go back there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hurt him in this case, but it will send Flek on into Eastern Palace. Without the bow, he's unable to complete this. However, very often there tends to be... this is another area that is just open immediately when you start the game.
Yes, and
So
Lack just pulled the lamp out of Thieves Town, so with their current setup, Eastern is technically in Palace. Wow, I can word good. Eastern is technically in Logic with that lamp, because there are a few dark rooms, and the randomizer is never going to expect you to do those without some sort of light.
Well, there are 3 chests that are instantly available with nothing in Eastern.
Yes.
4 of them with if they find the big key early on, but there's 1 chest towards the end, and we find Ether Medallion over in Eastern. I'm sure Lackattack will probably get around to getting that eventually.
Yeah. Panda Super, this is interesting. Okay, so yeah, Dork just pulled the last in logic chest right there, deciding not to chase through the dark rooms and head out.
Yeah, going through the dark room for that one last check could be huge, but it's a single item, and it might not even be
It might not even
like a
be
unique
the item. The item may be on the boss. And in Eastern, if it's a crystal, you know you need to complete it later. If that's not the bow, that's kind of just time you've sunk into it for. It's kind of hard to justify that sometimes.
And a nice escape check on Flex, and he's gonna be able to. Well, depending on what's on Dark Cross, he may be able to full clear it. Looks like it doesn't have the map or a small key, so there's decent chance that one of those could be in Dark Cross.
Nope.
Well, it's not going to be the lamp. It will be the small key, however. Actually, the small key is required to come down south here through that key door. Even though the guard drops a key, you could theoretically steal that key and go into the back of escape instead. So the logic accounts for that possibility and just will require you to have a small key in order to check these checks here. So we actually do know that there's a small key in Dark Cross. It's very convenient.
Lack is going to be doing a blind fight with the cane. No half match.
It's pretty fun. He's opting to detonate the cane, which is not necessarily required. You could just leave the cane on the screen and the enemies will get damaged as they run into it. I believe it can get hit 5 times before disappearing.
Oh. That is unfortunate.
It's a tough fight. It's a fun fight, but it certainly is tough. And Flek getting the last item here in Escape is just a heart piece. It's gonna put him in a bit better shape when he gets around to Thieves Town, I think. Well, depending if he finds more heart pieces to get more health. And he opts to save and quit and soft reset with the LR start and select to go back to the ship in Super Metroid.
He might be chasing some super things with that speed booster he collected.
Lackattack trying to stun the guard's vision with that hook shot there. Apparently the vision of the guards is a physical object that can be hit with projectiles sometimes. It's pretty annoying when you want to hookshot across or stun an enemy.
Some games are well made.
I love how quirky these classic games are. These 2 heart containers, one of them being the Sanctuary Heart, which gives you a full health refill when you collect it. With Speed Boost, Flek does not need to do the mock ball glitch to get here to restore reserves. Unfortunately, well, he couldn't have done it without Morph Ball, but unfortunately, without Morph Ball, he's orphaning 2 checker. But he does get the Book of Medora, which could potentially be big, and he's just opting to give it up. It looks like.
That is
There could have
interesting.
been access to It could have been access to Desert Palace, but also he could have checked some other stuff lower down in Pink Brinstar.
I can understand not exactly wanting to keep the book. It's not really a super high value item, but at the same time,
Well, it could unlock 2 other items.
yeah,
We never know. Or it could unlock no items. All depends on what's available in desert. And that's a good point brought up in chat. You can still check what's on the tablets, the Ether tablet and Bombos tablet in Death Mountain and Desert, respectively. You don't necessarily need the Master Sword to see what the item is, but you will need the Master Sword in order to get the item. And oftentimes, personally, I feel checking what the item is just as good as actually getting it. Most of the time, it's nothing. And even if it is something, it's a pretty minor time loss to just know that it's there and be able to just go right back for it whenever you need it. Lackattack is opting to kindly assist the elderly in finding his way home.
having the hookshot for Death Mountain is also really nice. With the Mitsu Moon Pearl, there's a lot of checks up here they can make.
Gives you 20 bucks for your time, but more importantly, he gives you another option for saving and quitting. He allows you to start at the top of, well, at the bottom of the Death Mountain Trail, which is pretty darn close to another portal to Super Metroid. He could go into Lower North Fair, of course, right after checking these two items up in Spectacle Rock. 300 and 300 bucks. He already has Zora money.
Someone left a lot of cash up there.
So the fake flippers we were talking about would potentially get him a few extra items. However, Zora himself, King Zora, is actually fully available as soon as you have the glove. It is entirely possible he could have the vanilla flippers item, which would be flippers.
Everyone's favorite check.
Yeah. It's really out of the way. Ooh, and a sword. We refer to this cave as Paradox Cave because if you're looking closely, you'll notice like he was like on the lower ledge when he entered the cave, and it brought him up to the second floor. And if we were to drop down and go to through the other door, it'll bring him to the upper ledge. And space jump, he can fly now.
He can really fly.
And Flek taking an intentional death there to warp himself back to the beginning of the dungeon. It's a real common play after the first 4 chests in Thieves Town. You don't necessarily, especially if you're uncomfortable with the back of Thieves Town, it can be a little hairy on low health. So he's opting to put it off until he's in a better position.
That's the bow on the floating island. They are definitely going to need a mirror.
Mm-hmm. Especially with Pod and Eastern being crystals. It's kind of convenient because you want mirror anyway for Pod.
Yes, very much so.
Let's hope that mirror is not in there. For the runner's sake. It's probably in Meridia.
I would disagree. Meridia never has anything.
Maybe. In my match, it had the bow and the boots. Unfortunately, I never found Gravity Suit.
Oh! And that Morph Ball at the dig game was kind of unfortunate for Lack. He was carrying the dwarf around, and the guy will not let you do the dig game while carrying him around. So Lack, unfortunately, kind of orphaning that.
You usually learn early that it's a little important to do the digging game before turning in, just because when else are you going to go back there?
I mean, I guess the good news on that front, he didn't finish blind, so he will have to go back there for that.
So Ether is locking Turtle Rock in this seat. He's going to need to go through Eastern Palace before going up there.
Yep, so...
Ooh, plasma.
That's a handy little item.
Yeah, that's going to save a lot of time just plowing through enemies in Super Metroid. And it feels so good.
It's so nice to have that before even stepping foot in Metroid.
Mm-hmm. It's 600 damage per charge shot with ice. I believe 450 if you turn ice off, which is usually enough to kill most enemies.
On Lack, unfortunately, stuck in this room for a moment until the Nova comes back around.
So luckily in this room, the enemy there will crawl all the way around the room and not despawn, not deactivate when he goes off screen. It's a little quirky the way Super Metroid works with enemy AI.
Yes, there's a specific tick for whether an enemy will move off screen or not. And Lack deciding...
Probably not worth. And pretty much you're gonna go somewhere else anyway. That was the only check he could have made.
Yeah.
I didn't see if he checked the exit to Crocomire, but
No.
Okay. Well, he wouldn't have been able to get it anyway, so no huge loss.
And Lack is, unfortunately for him, going to chase this speed booster a little bit and do some Metroid diving.
Yeah, we'll see if he opts to keep the book this time. So he did a short charge in order to shine spark through that those blocks. You can actually get through that with a regular charge, wherein you just hold the run button and charge. but you would have to do that from the landing site and then carry the charge over the platforms. Doing it the way he did is arguably easier.
I would agree.
Although technically not required.
Oh,
and there's a mirror.
So that's our bow. This is actually shaping up to be a relatively friendly seed so far.
Yeah, this is working out to give each player completely different advantages. An X-ray scope on Flek's end, it will never be required for anything, but there are a few interesting strats that. Okay, he's not forgetting the Terminator item. Okay. Okay, he is going back. I think he got it. Yeah, he got it earlier before he reset. Interesting, he's not checking morph ball bombs quite yet. Maybe he'll go back up en route to Red Tower or something.
He might be aiming to do that. I'm not really sure which way. If he's going to go down to Retro or route through Red.
Okay, he's going back up. It's always kind of interesting, but at the same time a little arbitrary whether, like, which direction they route for getting through Bryn. Or they could go through Red Tower, they could go through Green Brinstar and come back up through Red Tower, and whichever route is better is just, it comes down to luck pretty much.
Yep, there's ways you can with their items that they have available, they can pretty much clean out everything through those checks without missing anything, which is always nice. Sometimes you can orphan a few items and it always sucks having to go back and get something you had to skip over previously.
Lackattack will probably be getting his morph ball at some point soon. He is back in A Link to the Past.
Yeah, the good news, he can't really he can't go anywhere else in Super right now.
Yeah. Ironically, good news that he is locked out of Ventures.
But Dork is going to go back through Green and Pink Brinstar. Make sure to clean out all those items. And Super Metroid, this is a very heavy item density area, so usually you find something.
Yeah, I always feel like Super Metroid is a dense item location. Just in general. The entire game is just
you
full
can,
of quick item checks.
You can move from item to item much faster.
I feel like people have their biases, but it's kind of unclear which game is more valuable. Because there are twice as many items in A Link to the Past, but you can basically full clear Super Metroid twice as fast, so I don't know. All that matters is where the items are.
Black is going to chase the book now. Potentially... Desert only has 2 items, so he can potentially get both of those. He's not going to be able to get the crystal. Actually, I take that back. Depending on what's on the torch, he may not be able to get the crystal. Or it could be the map or compass, and he could be absolutely fine.
Yeah. Has he been to Agonite? Looks like he has not. I would have recommended going to the clear desert and then dropping out of the right side. And it looks like that's what he's going to do.
He was having some decision making going on there.
Yeah, this routing might have saved like 1 second. Citation needed. Because basically you're probably going to right side desert anyway. You might as well just take that exit and then drop down right next to Agonit's Cave. And this is going to be a logically boots locked desert with the small key up there on torch. He's only going to be able to get one of the possible items.
I believe it's possible for him to full clear this still. He could get the item in the big chest and then the item on Moldorm.
Or Moldorm. Or Landmullas.
Yeah, that one. That's the one. Zelda has too many worms.
It's got 8 of them.
Citation needed?
I mean, there are 3 Landmullas, right? And there's a Moldorm. And then there are 3 more Landmullas and another Moldorm in Ganon's Tower.
So many Moldorms in there, too.
And technically, I mean, well, Trinex is more of a snake than a worm.
It could be a rocky worm.
Yeah.
Dork got set up there for a nice, easy spore spawn skip. And doesn't really get anything for it.
So whether or not Landmullas or Moldorms, if you prefer, has item, he will have a crystal, so that'll be nice for Lek to get this out of the way right now.
Yep. If you are unfamiliar with the game, the players do need to collect all 7 crystals in order to beat the Zelda side. And they have 4 Super Metroid bosses they have to beat in order to beat the Super Metroid side. So ultimately, that's their goal. And how they end up getting to that point depends a lot on the seed and their items.
So interesting thing to note about the Light World bosses, for Landmullas at least, the Fighter Sword will do the same damage if you're spinning as it will if you're slashing. It spins basically give you an upgraded damage or upgraded swords damage, whereas poking will kind of downgrade it, which you can't downgrade the fighter sword, so it's basically everything you do with fighter sword is the same. And Lenmolas and Moldorm, for some reason, take the same damage with fighter as they do with master.
Now jumping into Agina's cave here. Saving that precious second.
What's really peculiar is Armos Knights take less damage from Master Sword than from Fighter Sword.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Agina hoarding some treasure with the hammer right there.
Ooh.
That's interesting.
I might send him back to potentially Kakariko, hopefully Shovel Game, because he could clear out the hammer pegs in Village of Outcasts.
Looks like he is heading in that direction. We'll see if that's what he's making.
Flek without that space jump is going to skip on X-ray location right now. Probably won't come back to hurt him. He's gonna opt to wait for this bomb block to respawn as well. Some players will try to just do a jump off of the crumble block below to get back up, which is theoretically faster, but kind of tough to do. And you just like have to go around anyway if you miss. So he's gonna opt to turn off his deactivate his speed booster, because for reasons when you have speed booster turned on, it will slow you down, or it'll decrease your acceleration.
It messes with your jump height if you do not have high jump, and it is the single most irritating thing in the game.
Something I only learned fairly recently. Getting some ammo for A Link to the Past. I guess that's nice. So what are we still looking for? We need both rods. We might not need flippers. We need both suits for a Super Metroid.
Yes.
We need another sword.
Yes, at minimum one more sword.
We know where Ether is. We know where Mirror is. We know where Bow is.
So yeah, we're actually pretty early on set with most of the knowledge.
Nice quick kill on Flek's side.
Always nicer to see Craig go down.
There's one of the rods.
Yep. And that being the Ice Rod is actually kind of nice as well. Unlike Fire Rod, Ice Rod can appear basically anywhere because it's only required for one spot in Turtle Rock. So Fire Rod's a bit more locked than that. It could still be in a lot of places, but slightly fewer overall.
Yeah, it probably won't be deep in Turtle Rock.
Probably not.
I have once seen it on Laser Bridge.
That's disgusting.
It was pretty impressive. It really relies on having every item in between be a key.
Yep. And Lack is going to pick up his morph ball here shortly. He might be a little not happy that he left this. But overall, I don't think it hurt him too much.
No, not really. Okay, he's gonna take the portal into Crateria instead of ship warping, basically.
And Dork also, unfortunately, missing the Nova, but he will be able to continue on through the room.
Making sure he's fully stocked on arrows just in case.
You never know.
Charge beam. Lackattack has charge beam, but Flek, I believe, does not. That was in Eastern Death Mountain in Paradox Cave.
Yes, I believe that was correct. Lack gonna opt to destroy the Boyons here.
And Flek is gonna opt to take the maiden on over for a little bit of a tour. Fascinating.
Dead rocks are just the worst.
Well, the maiden turned into a smith.
Little known fact. If you die in a mountain, your maiden will turn into a blacksmith. This is
Yeah, we're real equal opportunity here in Hyrule. It's a real spear the maiden's sporting.
So yeah, Lack right now, he's going to be basically covering over the steps that Dork has already covered. And Dorkmaster, he's going to be covering some of this.
Yeah,
Likely
totally
some of the
forgot.
steps.
Ooh, high jump, nice.
Ooh.
I had forgotten he had picked up the smith. I was wondering how he got the maiden up on the mountain. But I guess that sort of makes sense.
Yeah. So high jump is probably the second best Super Metroid item as far as convenience. It's never absolutely needed, especially not when you have space jump. But it is a great item to have.
Kind of makes me wonder how much you could do if you take the old man from the mountain Save and quit and go back to your ship. Reset. And bring him down into a... off of Death Mountain and see how much you can collect with them. I probably won't bother trying because it's a 50% speed reduction. You can dash with the old man. Unfortunately, you still go 1 pixel per frame.
And Billy Mays, unfortunately, just nothing there. Other than high jump so far, nothing has been a retro Burnstar. So Dorkmaster not really gonna miss out much yet, depending on the last couple item checks here.
Nice bit of safety.
And bombs.
All right.
Bombs are nice to have, just so you can save your power bombs. Once you get 30 power bombs, so you're kind of don't care too much.
Well, I often refer to them as soft lock protection because, I mean, you can go just about anywhere with power bombs, but if you run out of power bombs inside a Morphall tunnel, then you can kind of screw yourself over.
Yep.
So the water physics kind of interfering a little bit with this shine spark.
Yeah, Samus does not like playing in water.
I don't know. Suit This Radio is pretty fun. There he goes.
First try. Unfortunately, just a missile hanging out back here.
Yeah.
And Dorkmaster gonna see he has the medallion for Turtle, so he's set there.
Pretty convenient Flek coming up here with the mirror in hand.
It'll make a nice little bit of a time save.
It's his plasma beam. This is working out pretty nicely for Flek. Although, you never know, we may just have to full clear the game to find whatever's left. Lackattack having some trouble with glitch here to be able to sneak a super missile past a blue gate.
There he goes.
Manages to get it. With the high jump, you can just put your back against the wall and then jump straight up and shoot a super, but it's a little tricky because whenever you turn around, you shift a little bit away from the wall.
Yeah.
There are a couple ways to do that. You could morph and then just do a 1-frame tap to the right. Or you could
Use a moonwalk.
jump, like space jump or use a moonwalk to back up against it, or you could space jump against the wall and then tap right. I think also for a frame. I'm not sure. Might be more lenient. Or you could go into the door and then just tap right until you fall off. However you do it, well, I guess moonwalk is by far the easiest. Any other method is just
Generally requires a 1-frame turnaround or 1-frame input. Dorkmaster's going to check the tablet here. Just a boomerang.
Yeah, it would be nice to have, but I don't think he's gonna be going back for that. Nice little mock ball to get out of that tunnel on that side. It's pretty tricky, but you can conserve your running speed into a morph ball roll. Because morph ball, for some reason, rolls slower than your running speed. But you could retain running speed by like morphing right before you land after a jump. I want to say it's like a 5-frame window or something, but it's not the easiest thing to do.
So right now, Dorkmaster has quite a bit open. He might be headed to the Red Tower or a wrecked ship here. But he also has a lot in Zelda open. Looks like he's going to be pushing Metroid here for a bit.
Like finding a nice bit of safety in that cape.
It's a pretty good safety item.
Do you remember what was on Bumper Ledge?
I
know
don't
Black
think
checked
we've
it.
seen Bumper Ledge. If we did, I completely missed it.
I missed it as well. I just so happened to click refresh right when he was about to check it.
Oh.
And then he was leaving when I came back.
That's a pretty convenient energy tank pre-Fantoon.
Yeah. Fantoon is pretty notorious in speedrunning. It eats a lot of players alive. And destroys so many runs.
And without any suits, he is pretty dangerous.
There is a farming method you could do, but it takes time, of course. Like any farming method.
Although, he has all the equipment set up for an X-ray.
That's true. If you want to if you want to beat this boss real quickly, in one round even, you can make Phantoon vulnerable with a missile, and then shoot it with a charged plasma beam, and then activate your X-ray scope. And that'll make real quick work of them. Basically, like the select glitch in Mega Man 1, you can just effectively pause the game while the iframes are still
running. Although I'm not sure if Dorkmaster's familiar with that, because he's just going strictly with charge shots right now. Out of the boss... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's tough to get used to. It doesn't quite work if you just shoot it with a charge beam in the first place. I believe you do have to hit it with a missile first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he just immediately teleports away.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that kind of stumps people. They see it can be done on Phantoon, but when they try it, they don't open with the missile, so it doesn't work. And that's the trickier part with him. He's got him finished off there.
Yeah, the fact that he bothered to get the X-ray visor says to me that he knows about the microwave strat to some extent. It'll be handy on Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, because there's really no other reason to pick up X-ray in this. Unless maybe you think of doing Suitless Meridian while climbing out of Dragon.
True, that is also possible, but I think
that's the only other use I can think of. And that is the last possible use I would ever want to do it.
It's a pretty handy backup to the Puyo clip for getting to Shack Tool.
That is true. You can use it to force stand-up pose in some situations. That can be useful. It looks like Flek is also going to be heading to a wreck ship. Personally, I'm a little surprised by this. Dorkmaster I can understand a little bit more because Hammer's out there. He doesn't know it's at Agina. Lackattack, I figured, would be chasing Zelda a bit more. He's got plenty. He knows where the bow is. Oh, he has a... I don't know. These decisions are a little bit strange to me right now.
Yeah, it's hard to say. He may just want to clear out the bosses he knows he can... maybe he's more comfortable with Metroid. Getting a little bit bodied in the spiky room of death. Aptly named.
It's a very good name.
Yeah.
One of the Super Metroid devs just woke up one day and hated everything. Made that room.
To be fair, they probably tested it with Varia suit.
Probably, yes.
Because you're supposed to use grapple beam to get across the moat to get in direct ship, and the grapple beam is in lower north, or
Yeah,
Crockery's
Crocomire,
area, which requires going through heated rooms. So lackattack did go through Gauntlet, but he didn't bother picking up the X-ray, interestingly.
I'm not sure if he's familiar with the utility it can provide with, since he has plasma in charge already, or if he's just deciding it's not particularly worth it to go all the way through Gauntlet just to get a couple of bosses down a little bit quicker.
True. On top of that, it can be a hindrance when you're toggling through items if you're not using the item cancel button to go back to beam.
Like normal though, wreck ship is not to hold very much of value. Wreck ship is just kind of in a weird spot in the logic where it's not necessarily an early check, so it doesn't get a lot of the early items. And it kind of just gets passed over a lot for most of the other stuff.
Just power bombs on these on this destructible Chozo.
Which isn't the worst thing to see when you only have 10.
That's true. That actually is pretty handy. And even though he has charged ice plasma, supers are still pretty handy. They are the fastest DPS on Ridley, and I believe even the Golden Chorizo, because they do double damage for some reason. Although it's kind of debatable whether or not Beam is faster on Mother Brain. It's generally, I believe it's believed that Charge Beam is faster for Mother Brain, but it might theoretically be equal. It all depends on how close to optimally you're shooting.
Yeah. And for the beams to kind of match up, they do need to pick up wave as well, which they have not come across yet.
I've heard it argued that you can fire supers 3 times per second and fire a beam 1 time per second. So with supers doing 1/3 the damage of the fully charged beam, that tends to that would theoretically even it up.
Yep.
I don't have the numbers right in front of me though, so I can't confirm. But since human error is so likely, you probably want as few actions as possible. So
The less
using the beam.
inputs, the less
Yeah.
likely the failure. Nothing really appearing in Red Brinstar either. Just got, surprisingly, a red boomerang.
In Red Brinstar. Fitting.
It's almost like someone planned that.
Lackattack cutting it pretty close with a 76 energy going through the bowling alley. Each hit from the spikes does 60 damage.
Must have felt pretty confident in the ability to space jump there.
It's a little scary. I personally don't have 100% success rate with base jumping in general.
Yeah, these Super Metroid space jump is kind of weird. And it has different properties depending on whether or not you're a liquid.
Yeah, when you first get space jump in vanilla, it's real easy to use. You just hit jump like, I don't know, 3 frames after you release jump.
Yep.
Something like that. And oh, he's opted into Crystal Flash to recover some health. Nice. Really heads up play. And as soon as you get out of the water in Meridia, then space jump suddenly requires like 15,000 or so frames between space jumping.
A little exaggerated, but it definitely requires much more of a vertical fall before you can reactivate your jump. It can really confuse you.
It's like a 3-tile window where if you're too late on your space jump, you just fall all the way down, and if you're too early on your space jump, then you just fall all the way down. So having done that Crystal Flash, he's feeling perfectly safe to go down Red Tower now. Deal with the Mega Side Hoppers and the spikes and the cack attacks. You don't need that much ammo to deal with these.
You can destroy all 3 with the single power bomb.
Yeah.
Depends on their... Hey, just like that.
Yeah, nicely done.
Thank you for demonstrating that, Lack.
Yeah. And also demonstrating a nice little damage boost where you hold jump, and then as soon as you get hit, you hold backwards. And you just get launched.
And honestly, that room is very convenient for practicing damage boosts if you're just trying to learn it. So the fact you have to hold jump sets you up for it right away.
And then once you get better at it, you could do it on these little jumping puts in the middle of the Alpha Power Bombs room. It's really handy in this room as well, going each way.
Yes.
But it's something you kind of got to get a feel for. Like when to cancel your damage boost.
So I think we've just about seen everything in Logic and Metroid here.
Yeah, unfortunately, lackattack not having that
Hey.
that precious
I take
spring.
it back. That just opened up Meridia.
There we go.
Although I honestly would still kind of be a little surprised if Lack is going to chase Meridia over going back into Zelda.
Yeah, he knows where that bow is. He can full clear Pod and Eastern, which he can then take that ether from Eastern up the mountain to. I guess he doesn't have full clear Turtle Rock available without Fire Rod.
That is true.
Unless it's in Pod or on Armos.
Well, and he hasn't done Kraid yet, so Ice Rod's back there, but he's not aware of that, of course. But
yeah,
I guess doing Kraid at this
about
point
to be
would
aware
make
of it.
sense. Waiting for that Kraid last boss and Super Seed.
How do you even do Kraid last in Rando?
Just kind of ignore him. You would have to be purposefully trying to do Kraid last in order to do Kraid last.
Yeah, technically you need items to get up to Kraid's lair, but you don't really. You just
You really don't.
just do a kind of a tight jump and you're in there.
Black is going to chase Meridia before Kraid, though, it looks like. If he finds Various Suit, he could do Ridley and then go up and finish Kraid. Oh, that Blind Spark was worth it.
Finding that in Super Metroid is unfortunate because now his beam has been downgraded automatically and he has to go back into his menu to re-equip Plasma instead.
Yep.
And I believe the Super Metroid randomizer and thus the combo randomizer has fixed the bug with combining Scissor and Plasma, so you're no longer able to do that.
Yeah, that gravity suit is actually kind of bad for. It's going to take him further away from the hammer. I mean, he's not losing too much time because lackattack is making the play here. But it's going to delay that item even longer.
I'm very familiar with this area.
I mean, the nice thing about this is their space jump works.
Yeah.
Yeah, why Nintendo decide to code 2 separate physics for space jump in and out of water with gravity suit is a mystery.
Yeah, you have gravity suits, so the physics underwater are the same as in the air, except for items work differently for some reason. Ooh, second sword.
That is pretty valuable.
That's one case for putting off dungeons until
that is true.
After Super.
Swords have actually kind of, from the seed I played and from the ones I've been able to watch, swords have been a pretty rare commodity in seeds. And you need at least that Master Sword to beat the game. Oh,
There
there's
it is.
Plasma Rod. So, does that mean
Jeez.
we are basically just missing Varia suit for Go mode?
I believe so.
Although Lack still will be looking for his ice rod.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine he will be getting that pretty soon, unless Varia shows up in here, which...
Yeah, before going back to Link to the Past, almost certainly.
Yeah.
So Flek needs to find Hammer, and Lack needs to find his ice rod, and then they'll...
And then they both just need the suit. Although, Lack still needs to go back to collect his bow.
Yeah, this is a really close race. Ice Plasma, Charge Ice Plasma making very quick work of Botwoon. Might be slightly quicker work from Flek's end. We'll see if he opts for the Brave strat.
Yep. And having Plasma is very nice on Botwoon. His hitbox can be extremely dumb.
Absolutely. Lackattack managing to look like he was standing on a frozen enemy.
I believe he was.
That worked really nicely.
And he is microwaving.
He's probably dead by now.
He wants it really cooked.
He likes his well done.
So yeah, that is the utility of Charge, Plasma, and X-Ray. You can do that on Botwoon, on Dragon, and then on Fantoon in that circumstance that Jagger G described earlier.
Yeah, that's some fine quizzing Botwoon from the
Going for a
microwave.
grapple kill and not. Dragon knew what was up. He didn't want none of that.
There's a particular A Link to the Past randomizer player who is well known for using microwave to cook her steaks. I don't know, maybe she has experience with Super Metroid.
As long as you don't start cooking shrimp that way. Lack actually coming. I know he has a reserve, but that's pretty low on that grapple kill there. Yeah, not having Varia there does not help your health.
So we're going to see microwave again here. Basically, as I mentioned before, you shoot a charged plasma beam into the boss and then activate your X-ray scope and that will just freeze the boss and the beam in place, just overlapping each other while the iframes of the boss run out. And it is just about dead as soon as it ends up.
Yep. So Dragon has a really nice tell when he's dead. If you're crouched, as soon as Dragon dies, it forces Samus into a stand-up pose. So as soon as that happens, you know you're set.
Yeah, that's how that's coded. That's probably the same you can get blue suit off of Shine Sparking Dragon.
Do you think Lack will pull a Shackle check here?
It's possible. We'll have to see. With only one item left to find, basically. Well, 2 items for him.
2 items for him, yeah.
Hard to say. It's hard to rationalize that. He'd have to be feeling either really far behind or really far ahead, I think. Nope, he's not going for it. Looked like he didn't even check what was the right side of that room. Did you check that earlier?
He checked the left sandpit. I don't remember him checking the right sandpit. Maybe he did. And Dork is going to go up and check Plasma location here. And Dork also needing 2 items.
Yeah, that is true.
Unfortunately, the hammer's in a much more obscure location than the ice rod is. Lack will be picking up the ice rod shortly.
Yeah, it's Flek unfortunately orphaned that X-ray location because he couldn't fly at the time.
Nice Key Hunter wings frozen there.
Ooh. We getting the stand-up glitch from Kraid. Trying to do some more damage against Samus.
That was an interesting setup for the stand-up. It would have worked, but I'd never seen someone quite do it that way before.
Right.
Oh, not leaving that behind. So yeah, Lack knows where the bow is, so he is purely looking for Varia at this point. Potentially boots could come into play depending on Gainus Tower Big Key. But right now, I about an hour 30 in, 1 item short, I'd be feeling pretty good. So yeah, Flek back in Zelda. We'll see where he is going to Link's house here.
I like how Flek has both gravity in Super Metroid and in A Link to the Past.
Oh. It's not heading toward Agina, so might just be finishing off Eastern at this point.
I forget if we've found the map in Eastern, but there is at least one item remaining in
Yes,
Eastern.
there's at least one.
Or I guess there's exactly one. Because they did find the compass.
Yes, they did find it. And I do think this is a good play for Lack's part. Go ahead, open Turtle Rock. I imagine he'll go ahead and dive Turtle Rock after picking up the bow.
He hasn't been to Eastern yet, so he doesn't have the...
Oh, you're right. Never
medallion.
mind. I forgot about that.
But opening the portal is nice. Halfway opening Turtle Rock.
Get a turtle ride.
It is a little bit faster to take the Turtle Rock portal, and on top of that, it'll make it even faster the next trip he comes back up here.
Yes.
And he's going West Death Mountain, checking out Spike Cave, I assume.
Or just using the mirror to bypass the hammer pegs.
Oh yeah, Tower of Hera, Ether Tablet, also available.
You know, Varia could be on the pedestal.
It's true. Which would require a flute. You could get to Misery Mire through Lower Norfair, but of course that trip would require Varia to get to.
Yes.
So you would need the flute logically anyway. Let's see, Swamp Palace, it would require the flippers. Not much else, I guess.
Just getting that Spike Cave check in now.
Important to remember in Spike Cave, especially, whenever you want to select the cape, you want to do it with like half a second in advance of having to use it, because for some reason, when you select a cape and unpause, you have to wait a little bit before actually activating it. I've seen many a runner die in Spike Cave because they couldn't cape in time.
Silvers make nice work of some bosses.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lack. Going to jump to pod first. The mirror to Eastern. Clear both these dungeons right away. So that's always ideal if you have to clear both dungeons. I just do both like this. And I think Flek's gonna start dipping Thieves Town, probably. Maybe Skull. he needs to complete them anyway, so clearing them won't be the worst idea.
Mhm. That hammer is definitely a significant advantage for Lack.
Yes.
It could be a while before Flek goes back to X-ray to get that.
Yeah.
Let's hope he finds Varia soon. Just kind of even. Well, I guess Varia would unlock all of Lower Norfair, and he would
yeah,
prioritize
that might take him
that, wouldn't he?
further away.
Eh.
Yeah, with Hammer being in that location, unfortunately, it could be a while before Flork. I can still say words, by the way. Flek might be in some trouble. That could end up being one of the last locations he checks. So I'm just gonna head straight back to Moth right away. Go ahead, defeat the boss, see if... I didn't catch if he already collected both items out of Skullwoods, but...
Yeah, as per usual, I wasn't counting Skullwoods.
And getting grabbed, unfortunately. And this time, just using Fire Rod to deal with the mummies.
Yeah. You have plenty of magic. Well, especially if you have full health, you can use sword beams on Makula,
Yeah.
which helps a little bit. Interesting trick with these Gibdos is you want to hit them into the spikes because it'll take either 8 sword beams or 16 sword beams or 8 master sword slashes, or you could just hit them into the spikes twice to deal gold sword damage, which you do not want to do against Mothula.
Yes.
Because Mothula takes 0 damage from Butter class.
Yep. Which is why they downgraded it in this fight in particular. In this.
Because these spikes cut through like butter.
Yep. And it's well done. There.
If you do happen to have Butter Sword against Mothula, the randomizer will treat it as a Tempered Sword instead for that fight alone. It doesn't quite have the fix from the GBA version.
So he must have got both items out of his skull because he left immediately. And so, bumper,
Okay.
not worth it anymore.
We get one check up here on Graveyard Ledge. This could be important.
Yeah.
One thing that would be nice to find, perhaps, is flippers with Variasuit in Swamp.
That.
Because he might put off Swamp until after clearing more of Super Metroid.
Yeah, I mean, and he would need the hammer to get very far in Swamp too.
So that could be one way he could get back into this race. A sword would be nice, but I mean, it only saves a few seconds.
Yeah, at this point, sword is just for
Maybe
convenience.
like a minute. Yeah. I guess a few seconds is really undercutting it. Yeah,
It can save quite a bit of time on Ganon.
for sure. Most players would rather do Tempered Sword Silverless over Master Sword with Silvers.
Yes.
Wave Beam on Helmasaur King.
There's his full beam combo. Not what he's particularly wanting to see, though. Oh, he's doing the purple chest. Maybe he'll route Agina in with this. Which would be pretty big for him if he does.
Yeah. Oh, lackattack has flippers. I guess that was in pod, huh?
Oh, well. I think depending, well, that could still be in logic pre-hammer, since Wave Beam was on the boss.
Yeah. Currently, Varia Skip is kind of it's really tight. I think he only has like
Yeah, they haven't got
maybe
a lot of
8 tanks.
And there's either for Lack, so now he knows he just needs Varia.
I would personally want like 11 tanks to deal with Lower Norfair, to deal with Ridley at minimum, and then probably like 3 crystal flashes worth of ammo.
I would want 20.
Yeah, if possible.
So, Dorkmaster, going to check this tablet. Hopefully, he will go up and check Agina at this point.
Looks like he will.
Yep. So this is going to be very big. He will be on par with the items. And then both runners basically a race to find Varia and then execute the rest of the game. Lack will have a slight advantage here. He will be about 1 crystal ahead. So depending on the dungeons Dorkmaster does here, if he finds Varia first, he may end up speeding through dungeons. That lackattack is going to take a little more time, still searching for the Varia. And
Wow, I've had this mixed up so much. I knew there was an important item on X-Ray. I thought it was the hammer, but apparently that was a Nagana. I guess it was Gravity Suit, wasn't
yes,
it?
Gravity was on X-Ray. Yep.
I thought Flek missed that entirely, but obviously not. Well,
I'm also... Am I missing something? Is desert a pendant or a crystal? 'Cause
desert is a crystal. It was a 6 crystal.
So Dorkmaster was
Logically,
just by
needs-
desert.
It's true.
Maybe he didn't want to risk going in there and it being boots locked.
True. Which it turns out it technically is. It's just not actually.
He could still pull the crystal out, but yes. And I don't remember if we saw... I know we saw one item. I don't remember if the Moldorm of Landmolus had an item or not.
Yeah, I forget. One thing to note with the logic is that, once again, you can use your keys in a different order than ideal, and you could opt to take one of the keys that you find in the back of desert and bring it back to the front of the desert to check items. And if you do that, then you would absolutely need the boots to get the key off the torch.
Yes. So now, if they did
Almost
only
nobody would
get...
do that.
If they did only get one item out of there, Varia could be boots locked there.
That is true. I believe another potential location for Varia is actually in the Screw Attack location. If they get the flute, they have access to the lower Norfair portal, and the game could expect you to
Don't believe so, because that room
not
is
on
heated.
normal mode. The room is heated.
Yeah,
It's
so-
just such a short room, and I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I don't think the logic allows heat damage at all in it, but I could be wrong with that particular room.
Okay. I stand corrected. I do get a little confused sometimes because the Super Metroid standalone randomizer also has varying difficulties of logic, and the casual logic in Super Metroid is even more strict than the normal logic in combo randomizer.
There's a lot of randomizers out there.
Mm-hmm. Might have been older versions of the combo randomizer that could have required Screw Attack dive. I feel like that was the thing in last tournament.
That
a year and a half
was
ago.
a Varia suit at Catfish.
Ooh,
That's...
wow. Yeah, that's go mode for Lek.
Yeah. I'm actually... I would be a little upset that both Agina and Catfish were required.
Agina, Catfish, X-Ray.
Yeah, those are some
Floating
interesting
Island is
combinations
long
to
to
be-
get to, but you could at least see it.
I'm kind of curious at what Lack's doing right now. I know he's going to Zora, but does have everything he needs unless I'm missing something.
He might want another sword.
It's definitely possible.
Or another A-tank.
If he wants to turn very off and do a suitless, that's... Yeah, personally, I would just risk going through the dungeons, pulling chests along the way, and hoping I get a sword that way.
Yeah, going to do Super Metroid first makes a lot of sense because there are a couple items that are like right next to where you have to go anyway, and you could check just a few things to make to make a Link to the Past easier.
Yeah.
Potentially, I think he's hoping to find a sword along the way.
Yeah, if he gets a sword, boots just to help General's movement speed.
Yeah. He still needs to fight Mothula, Cold Stare. All the enemies in Ice Palace can take a while without an upgraded sword.
Yeah, without tempered ice can be kind of irritating.
Right next. Whereas in Super Metroid, he has everything he could possibly want, except Spring Ball and Screw Attack, I guess.
Spring Ball's the more valuable. But...
Yeah, obviously.
He is gonna make some extra checks here, getting that green gate glitch. Oh, never mind. He's just getting himself some more room.
Okay.
I was kind of curious there.
Oh, he's getting rid of one block here.
Yeah.
You do want to do a mid-air Shine Spark to get across there. It's
yeah,
not easy. It's pretty quirky how you deal with mid-air Shine Sparks in Super Metroid.
And it's Helmasaur down for Dorkmaster. Hopefully for him, he makes the odd decision to check Catfish. But I'm not sure that's really high on his priority list right now.
Yeah, he hasn't checked the Zora area either, so it may not be a terrible play, actually.
Yeah, he's...
Unfortunately not.
Yeah. I definitely understand the decision, even with the Zora area in play. But... unfortunately, it's just the way the seed rolled this time.
He's going north. Maybe he figured the portal would be faster.
Maybe.
It might be pretty similar. Nope. He's going to Meridia? No.
He's already cleared Meridia.
Floating
Maybe
island.
he's going
He
to
hasn't
ice
checked the
and...
floating island, that's right. $50 for him.
Well, he's going back.
Yeah, it looked like he was thinking about jumping down to do Zora. maybe he's going back up to do Catfish and Zora.
He's going to the hobo right now, it looks like.
It's looking good. This is pretty good routing, actually.
Yeah, he's getting the checks in. Black's taking his 4 E-tanks into Ridley here. 20 shots with his beam combo. We'll see if he switches to supers halfway through here.
Yeah, it is. It's probably easier to hit with the beam combo.
Yeah.
With the fully powered beam. Just
It covers
so big.
a lot more real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Ridley can be a pretty stupid boss if you're not very familiar with him. Or
There he goes.
Yep,
Switching
there it
over.
is. I think he's dead now. Yep, there he is.
Very nice.
And Dorkmaster is heading north. This is
Great
going
news
to
for
be
him as well.
very good for him. So excluding potentially Boots, both our runners will be in go mode.
True. Yeah, we still don't know where the Ganon's Tower big key is. It could very well be on the torch requiring boots. We have full access to the other 21 chests, though. Okay, he is gonna opt to check the waterfall ferry at the very least. Probably check the Zora ledge as well.
Yeah, just no, please.
Okay. Thought about it. He knows
Yep,
he's
please.
in go mode.
He might just want to do a quick check here, get potentially some extra comfort items.
Yeah.
A reserve
Okay.
tank is not enough.
Not worrying about the scam fish either.
That is.
Saves a little bit of time over lack.
Yeah.
He's gonna really need to cut some corners here. So lackattack is going to need to go through Skull Woods. Flek can probably get to desert through Lower Norfair.
That would
And-
make sense, yes.
Just like mirror over from the Mire portal.
Yeah, that would be the ideal thing to do right now.
I think that's a very likely play because he wants to know whether or not boots are required immediately.
Yeah.
Flute in Lower Norfair, okay. He absolutely needed that Varia first.
Yep, so. Is he going to go? He is going to go for it.
Huh. I wouldn't recommend this. It takes a while to get this item, and it takes a while to activate Flute,
Yeah,
when you could just save and quit up the mountain instead.
well, maze too confusing. Yes. He's not giving up checking items, so he's definitely still looking for some, most likely a sword here, but I guess it could be boots too. He's gonna head over here, collect this red mail he saw earlier. Might not be such a bad idea if you end up having to do Master Sword Ganon. I do find it kind of interesting. Flek decided to jump Ridley right away, go through the portal, mirror to desert. He might be planning on doing that after Ridley.
I'd like to take this moment to thank our sponsor for the tournament, Rank1.global. It's a social platform for gamers to find each other, find newer streamers, and find people with like interests. They're providing cash prizes for this tournament. I believe 125 for first place. I forget the breakdown, but like the top 4 players are going to be awarded with prizes
first. I could be wrong.
I don't remember. All I know is we're playing video games and it's fun.
Yes. So yes, definitely thanks to Rank 1 for the sponsorship here.
Yeah, it's 125 for first, 100 for second, 75 for third, and 50 for fourth.
Oh, okay, so it's a 500 pool. That was a nice, quick bomb jump there from Lack.
Still no boots or sword to be found, but I'm sure Lack will probably be killing these free swords. Check one more location here. It's just a heart piece. And Ridley down for Flek. So I'm guessing both swords are going to be in Swamp Palace. And we're just going to have to fight Ganon with Master. Lackattack a little short on magic, unfortunately. He's gonna try to farm here. He's gonna have to pull the tongue to leave the room. No keys to go into the right room. There he goes. Gotta be careful with this Freezor. They do a lot of damage. No, he does have red mail.
Doing a hammer cold stare is not high on my list of fun things.
A big thing to note is that cape is handy if you're in a pinch. Also fire rod. Fire rod does a lot of damage, but for one thing, if you're gonna use hammer, you probably don't want to face north because the hitbox is a little bit shorter when you face north with the hammer. Any other direction will give you considerably more leeway for your hammer hits. But also you can just hang out on the top wall, and as long as you move slightly as the icicles are falling, they'll never hit you. They cannot break apart inside walls, so it's one way to play the fight considerably safer.
And Lack using the seldom used portal to get up to Kakariko here. That's actually a very nice use.
Yeah, it's a pretty obscure portal not everyone knows about. There's also a portal in the Dark World next to the Dark Witch's Hut and the same whirlpool on the bottom right corner of the map. You don't see them used very often in normal Link to the Past randomizer. And not very much in combo randomizer either, but there are some fringe cases, especially with things like entrance shuffle, where they can come in handy.
Entrance shuffle, SMZ3 win.
Right. Which door will go to Lower Norfair? That'll be fantastic. That combined with door shuffle, where doors inside dungeons go to different places, and room shuffle in Super Metroid as well.
Let's
The more chaos, the better.
let's make this happen, Total.
Just a matter of time. He's working. Recently I saw he was working on a a way to randomize the access to some areas with a new item.
Yep.
A key card item. As well as key sanity for Link to the Past.
And Dorkmaster is doing quite a few extra checks. He might not be comfortable with just Master Sword. I don't see any other reason really to do these particular checks.
Yeah. Huh.
And I don't blame him for not being comfortable with Master Sword. It kind of sucks.
For sure. He's gonna get his red mail at least. I feel like a sword would basically offset the time it takes to check these items for him.
Yeah. How did that Gibdo survive? I thought I saw the thing on fire.
He crouched.
It's on a different y-axis.
Yeah, unfortunately, the sword beams for Master Sword are pretty rude.
Yeah.
You can slash an enemy, and then the beam will overwrite your damage and do less.
It's wonderful. It's my favorite feature.
Pretty handy on Armos. Other than that, not so much. And there, Flek with the Phazon suit. I'm going to use Phazon beam on some of these bosses.
Yep. So right now, Lack is 2 crystals up. And Turtle Rock, a go mode Turtle Rock versus a full clear is not too much difference. I could see maybe checking all the chests on Laser Bridge, maybe in the hopes of finding a sword. I mean, if the execution is on par, there's really not much time to be gained or lost in that particular dungeon.
Mm-hmm. This flute will at least push Flek towards desert. Eventually. I guess not right now.
While in Kakariko, might as well finish off Thieves' Town.
True. You know, I always thought Key Sanity would be perfect for crossover running.
I am ready.
It would probably be fewer double dips than Link to the Past Key Sanity. Basically, all you need is more fall and you can full clear the game, right?
Pretty much.
Six-hour SMZ3 Key Sanity run, or what I like to do is I like to do suitless runs of areas and also take like 6 hours in regular SMZ3. Dude, I had a multi-world combo rando once where we were doing hard mode because, hey, we can do hard mode. We know what we're getting ourselves into. You know, I really love that it's possible for Shaq Tool to be guarding Gravity Suit. But I hate that I had to do it.
Shacktool just wanted to give you something nice.
It did. It was my own Gravity Suit locking someone else's progression, locking someone else's access to hammer. And it took 6 hours because we checked the spoiler log 5 hours in.
Dorkmaster is escorting his blacksmith around.
Looks like he changed his hair color. Moved his beard to the top of his head.
That's some skill if you can move your whole beard. Okay, Antlac is going, well, okay, yeah, he is going to steal this key. So he is going to at least skip one check. So yeah, maybe just decided anything kind of out of the way, not worth it at this point. Dorkmaster checking some hammer pegs.
Lackattack getting that mirror shield. He is going to have to go through Laser Bridge anyway, and this is a really easy way to do so. It's really convenient.
This whole seed has been pretty convenient, except for a couple of spots. Kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I guess Flek doesn't quite know he's in go mode yet.
I think it might just. Yeah, I think Lactax just decided he's fine.
I'm surprised by this. There were 2 chests right next to him.
Yeah. Well, that hard hat just ate.
Yeah. Unfortunately, unable to get that ferry. This shouldn't be too much of a problem with Red Mail. What he could have opted to do was use the cane on Zero Magic and immediately switch to the powder, which would, for some reason, Just throw powder without magic.
We get the nice menu strats here.
I guess what this means is anti-fairies turn into fairies when they're doused with powder. It doesn't necessarily matter whether the powder is magic or not.
Mac does need to be a little bit careful here. I'm not sure how much damage Trinex does with red mail, but he's...
Enough. I think it's 3 hearts.
The snake portion, thankfully, isn't too hard to
Oh, no, it's
do.
only 2 hearts. Luckily.
Thankfully for lackattack. That was calculated. And that is crystal number 7. So now both final bosses, or I guess I should say the paths to the final bosses, are now open.
Yeah, as mentioned in chat, the fake powder works because Link doesn't consider using powder if he doesn't have magic, but he always has powder available. He just thinks the magical properties are important, and it turns out it's really not. So if you trick Link into thinking it's magic, then it has a very powerful placebo effect, and he can still use it. It turns out the magic was inside him all along.
And yes, with Gaden's Tower being open, there are 1 or 2 locations the big key can be.
That's true. Get your numbers in the chat. It's a bit late for the
Lordy
guessing
are.
game. But yeah, 1 through 22 items in the Ganon's Tower is not going to be boost locked.
And
to
lackattack
know.
immediately went to left side to check that. So now he knows absolutely in go mode.
Go not very fast mode. Gotta wonder where those boots are. They were logically required.
Oh, number 6.
Yo, the Deathel Room. Very nice place for it.
Does need to pick up a key here.
This is kind of tricky.
Yeah, he's going back to...
Okay. It is possible to hit that with a blue boomerang, but it's
Don't
probably
you
like
need
subpixel
boots for it?
shenanigans or something. Yeah, it's I've done it. It took several tries, but I've done it.
Yeah, and a question in chat. What is Lack looking... Not Lack. Dorkmaster looking for?
At this point, I don't even know.
Our guess is a sword. But yeah,
Unless he mismarked his requirement for Turtle Rock.
and that's also a possibility here.
I don't believe he spent the key.
No, actually, I think he did just finish Desert. But should be
Okay.
stuff. I remember watching him fight Lambos. Or Moldorm for some people. Oh.
The Moldorm is the singular version. The Pearl is Landmolus.
And Dorkmaster showing off the icebreaker there.
Very nice.
Sometimes walls just aren't real. Thanks to Block.
Love classic video games.
Getting a little bodied in this last ice room. That room sucks. I hate that room.
There's a very similar trick to the icebreaker in Swamp Palace called the diver down. That the rail is so thin that you can just use a bomb jump instead.
Yep. Or the cane if you have it.
Yeah, the cane also works. The same as in icebreaker. Well, I guess the way it works is a bit different, but yeah, it also uses the cane.
A couple nice wizard rooms. I love doing those rooms because those rooms hated me as a child.
Did you know about the using the Samaria on them as a child?
Nope.
Okay, that would explain it.
If I could avoid using the Y button, I would.
Sure. One reason I'm really bad at casual playthroughs of Final Fantasies is I just don't know how to use items.
If something has a finite quantity, I don't want to use it.
Why would I use a grenade on an enemy when I could just slash at it like 15 times instead?
So much simpler.
It only saves like 3 minutes per fight.
And there is Cold Stare down. There's one more crystal, and now just Turtle Rock left for Dorkmaster.
Oof. The singular landmolus strikes again.
This poor landmolus has grown so big he can no longer bury in the ground. See, I said bury and I meant burrow. I cannot get anything with this right.
It buries itself.
So, Lack into Aghanim 2. He needs 6 hits with the glowy orbs. Getting a little unfortunate here. Oh, well, that was a nice triple.
Yeah, very good.
Commentary blessing? Question mark? And now for everyone's favorite Link to the Past fight, Master Sword Ganon. Thankfully does not have to do this silverless.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's pretty familiar with the Master Sword fight. It's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
It's 24 spins for, or is it 12 spins for phase 1?
I think it's, you know, I just did this the other night in my race and I couldn't tell you. I hit it till it stopped.
Right.
But Ganon will not take damage from anything less than a tempered sword hit, so spin slashes are required here with the Master Sword.
Yeah, it's 12 spins for phase 1, that's right, and 12 spins for phase 2, 4 for phase 3, and then 24 for phase 4.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
But really only 3 or 4 for phase 4 because he does have silvers. Which is real nice when you're so low on magic.
Yep. Oh, that's a nice little double down there. Into phase 3. And now to phase 4.
Opting to get the torch glitch, wherein you just relight the torch right after it goes out, so the other torch doesn't have time to go out.
Yep. Other torch just decides, hey, my buddy's still lit. I'm fine. So getting that frame perfect hit on Ganon there.
That feel when you frame perfectly lose time.
One more arrow will do it. That is Ganon down.
And get your 1G in chat. Because we got another G to go.
Yep.
It's gonna save and quit here and soft reset to take him right back to the ship. Or
he's
just
gonna
gonna walk
portal.
This is probably just as well. I mean, he probably doesn't have to refill his ammo. Because he's gonna use beams on Mother Brain anyway. And this will take him a little bit further through the room. It's probably still faster to go to the ship.
Yeah, and I also I have been playing this for years and only just recently started using that soft reset to the ship. So
in version 11, there's a new feature to use a button combination to soft reset rather than having to go into your emulator menu and reset. Or using a hotkey, I guess.
It has been very handy. So yeah,
I'm told in chat he's lost his save file when he reset in the past. So not trusting it this time.
I can understand that.
Sure.
So yes, in comparison to Zelda, where he had the bare minimums weapon, here he's got absolutely everything and is completely overpowered.
Flek absolutely does not want to go through Trinex with Master Sword.
Do not blame him.
You will need some amount of missiles to destroy the glass tube, the glass dome on Mother Brain. But beyond that, you can just use charge beams.
Is he setting up for a baby skip?
I forget how many missiles it takes to break it, like 4, I think, to break, or maybe like 7 to break the front of the glass.
I don't know about the actual tank numbers.
So super missiles are the equivalent of 3 regular missiles for most cases of combat. Generally, missiles do 100 damage and supers do 300. His beam with all the upgrades is gonna do 900 damage.
Trying to get some. There he is. Get the Zeb skip finally. Zeb skip can be a bit finicky.
Yeah, it's much easier to do without screw attack. Much easier. For some reason, screw attack will cancel your iframes. So it makes it very difficult to clip into the Zeb type.
Pretty much impossible with the spin jump. And that could go for a stand-up.
It could.
Well,
Not anymore. Well, actually, he does have reserves if he wants, but he probably won't.
And Dorkmaster finishing off the Rocky Moldorm.
Yeah.
So Dorkmaster, all 7 crystals. He just has a tower to climb and then a couple of bosses to defeat.
And there goes one more boss for Mother Brain on Lackattack's end.
Yep.
Just has one more, just has Samus left to finish off before she finishes the game.
Using my favorite lag corner.
Yeah. Lag reduction is hard.
Lag is the best feature of any game. Also, lackattack opting to go full right. Not lack. I am very good at words. Dorkmaster.
Yeah, Flek
The
attack.
runner who's doing full right is the runner doing the right side. Oh, well, found Quake.
Yeah.
Not really a sword.
Wonder how much of GT is gonna clear before he just goes on up the gauntlet.
Well, we'll see once he gets the big key. Not really sure. He's been looking pretty heavily for a sword, but having that key might convince him to move on.
And lackattack being a retro gamer, he's not too keen on the more modern Metroid Fusion, and he opts to let the animals burn. And that's GG.
Yep, that is a GG to lackattack. So posted a pretty solid time.
With an official SRL time of 2 hours, 43 minutes, and 49 seconds.
I agree with that comment. Lackattack killed the animals.
And we'll see about getting him in here for a post-game interview. Welcome, lackattack. Congratulations on your victory.
Hey, thanks.
How'd you like that seed?
It was very strange. Like, I don't remember much of the middle. I do remember dying to blind with the Canis Maria. That was pretty funny. I had one hit left.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'll happen.
And, yeah. And I don't know, just having like Varia be my go mode item. I was kind of worried about the boots, you know, needing. I think the last seed or 2 seeds ago I had the big key on the torch, so.
Ooh. Yeah, we saw you check that immediately once you got to GT.
I just wanted the Band-Aid ripped off. Yeah, other than that, I went pretty well once I found Varia. I was like, okay, I'm feeling comfortable with skipping pretty much everything. And it just went. It's weird going through like Lower Norfair and not really checking anything. And I saw the flute. I went to grab it, and I couldn't get through that maze. So I just gave up. But yeah, not terrible. Just a little odd in some places.
Yeah, so how does it feel to have Agina and Catfish carry progression items?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Agina's Cave was Hammer, and Catfish. Yeah, was Various suit. I saved that really late. I almost went to Zora early, which would have probably kept me away from Catfish for a while. So I'm glad things worked out the way they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Agina is holding the keys.
Yeah, unfortunately for Lack, that's kind of what held him up. Was he checked Agina much later?
Unfortunately,
Flek did?
Yes, that's
okay.
I've been getting you two confused all night, so
yeah, it sounded like.
Unfortunately, we have gotten word in the IRC that Flek has forfeited. So we'll see if we could get him in here for an interview.
Yeah, I think that was the fewest number of items that I've ever collected. It might actually be the fastest seed I've ever done too.
164. That's it's less than half.
Yeah, well,
Is it? A bit.
It's close. Half. Yeah, a little bit over. Yeah.
I guess half the time.
Flek is here.
Hey, welcome, Flek.
Hello. Yeah, GG, Lack.
Yeah, GG, man.
Yeah, that was a heck of a weird seed. That was a really rough start. I dipped SM, realized I couldn't do much, forgot about the back of escape, so I reset and then found the mitts.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was a tough one. We saw you kind of giving up that book early on to just get back to A Link to the Past faster, and you did have Morph Ball considerably sooner than lackattack. It took a while to get over to wherever that was. Where was that?
Digging game.
Digging game, right. Right,
yeah.
because you took the Smiths first.
I did. I grabbed the Smith and then said, oh man, I can't do the digging game. I guess I'll just get rid of this guy and then I'll do it next time. And then I was really shaking my head when I saw Morph Ball come out of the ground like that.
Yeah, I did that first, and then I grabbed the Smith, and then I did like Hype Cave, and then I'm like, okay, that's a lot of Super Metroid stuff we can do now, and then went into Super Metroid, found the gravity suit along the way, basically cleared the entirety of Super Metroid except for Norfair, and forgot I had the Smith with me, and when I went back into Link to the Past, I was on the mountain, and I had the Maiden following me, and I guess that's what the Smith turns into on the mountain.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yep.
That's funny.
That was very funny. And I was like, wait, who's this girl following me? Oh, crap.
That's really cool. Yeah, I did the same. Like I cleared 3 bosses except for Ridley. And I did all Meridia, Wreck Ship, Rin Star, but then Norfair I skipped almost everything. So I did the high jump E-Tank, and then like 2 items or 3 items in lower Norfair, and that was it. Nothing like Bubble Mountain had red mail, which I'm glad I grabbed because I almost died a few times to Trinex and Ganon. So
Yeah.
When I realized, I remembered I had Master Sword, I said I'll just go out. I need to get this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, with Master Sword for sure. When I was like, I thought that I was in go mode. And then like halfway through Lower Norfair, I was like on my way to Ridley, and I realized, oh crap, I might need the boots for Desert. I don't know if Desert is boots locked or not. And so then I was panicking, and after I killed Ridley on my way out, I was checking a few spots, and that's how I found the flute and the red mail, because otherwise I just would have been going.
Yeah.
Okay, we were wondering about that, because you were checking a lot of items. Even after Desert Palace, you were still, I assume, looking for another sword?
Well, I mean, either another sword, or I think I was still paranoid about the boots for GT, even though that's like really unlikely, like just in case the big key was on the torch. I should have just been going. Like if I walk into GT and the big key's on the torch, then well, hubris, that it happens. But I think the right decision was to just go mode, and I was overly paranoid and probably not thinking straight at that point.
Yeah.
You were pretty close. I think Lack still had a bit of an edge, like once you both got go mode, but
Yeah,
that could have
I think
swung
so, because I
things
still had to do
if,
Turian.
boots were required.
Like I was climbing GT when he finished, and I still had to do Turian. So yeah, I think even if I hadn't checked those extra spots along the way, I think he still got it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good though.
Yeah, it's not so bad to check things along the way.
Yeah, I was trying to balance it and like not go too far out of the way. Like if I'm going through like Turtle Rock, it's like, okay, well, check everything on Laser Bridge. I probably didn't need to do Mimic Cave though.
Oh yeah, I got the key and I left the last 2 chests. I said, if I'm gambling, I'm going all in. I'm just skipping everything. And
Yeah,
Boots,
see, that's probably the right way to gamble.
Boots can be in Ganon's Tower, right?
I think so.
Not in this seed. It's possible. It's just in this seed, Desert actually required the boots for that small key on the torch.
Okay, so it's dependent on the item locate or the torch.
Yeah, whether or not it's
desert.
required.
Okay.
Is it actually required though? Because the big key was in the north chest.
Well, you both cleared Desert, but the
You could
small
have
key
stolen
being...
the key from the back.
Mm-hmm.
So by logic,
Oh,
you need the
yeah.
boots.
It's a very
Okay.
rare play.
Interesting. Okay.
I do know that you can steal the key, but is that
Yeah,
in
the logic accounts for that.
Oh well,
It
would've really
assumes
sucked.
that you don't have a key that you could use elsewhere.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's gonna prevent you from stealing the key and soft locking yourself or something.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's a big mess in Pod, and I think
I mean,
kind
pod
of a
key
mess in
logic
Mire and
is
Ice.
yeah.
Like logically in Pod, you need at least 3 keys to check the back, and the game will always place at least 4 keys in the front. They could be bow locked though.
Yeah, I think the back is like 5 or 6 keys to fully be in logic, I think.
The Dark Maze, the Harmless Hellway, and the Vanilla Big Key Chest all require 6 keys, and
Yeah.
the boss itself requires 6 keys.
Nice. Yeah, pod key logic is a mess.
Yeah, a lot of keys.
Yeah, that was a fun seed, though. I skipped more stuff than I usually do. I'm not used to gambling like that, so I was definitely sweating, and that probably contributed to my panicky behavior.
Yeah, where was Ether? Was it?
It was Eastern.
It was the
Second
that
chest.
hookshot
Yeah.
chest, yeah. And
Yeah, we
I
got
was
that a long
thinking
way.
about that too, like where I'm gonna have to find this to finish as well. And then when I found that, I'm like, I really only need like one more item.
Yeah, at that point,
At
you were
this
just
point.
missing Varia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Varia was like basically almost go mode for us. Yeah, Ether I got pretty early because I dipped Eastern early, like looking for Morph Ball and stuff in like Sphere 0.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, you dipped Eastern before.
Yeah, which turned out to be
I-
just a big waste of time because didn't do anything and had to come back there anyway.
Yeah, I didn't go over there until way later, and I did Pod, Eastern, Pyramid, Catfish, Zora. I didn't even need to do Zora, but I did get another E-Tank, which I was actually happy about.
Yeah, when Catfish threw up Varia suit, I was like, oh, should I even do... Yeah, well, I guess I'll check the waterfall while I'm here and I'll see what's on the ledge, but I don't need to go up to Zora.
I did get a green potion from there, and really, I haven't fought Cold Stare with the hammer, and I was getting destroyed, and I almost didn't have enough magic to go in to the fight anyway.
Nice.
It was just a big mess.
Yeah, because I think I had I think all 4 bottles by that point, but because I was paranoid about the boots and I happened to find Flute on the way out of Lower Norfair, so I just filled up on blue potions before doing like Ice Palace and Desert and Turtle Rock.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff. That was a weird
It
fun
was
scene.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good GG to you both. And in your group, lackattack, you are moving on and will face the winner of Maniacal and Yield Fart Gamer. And Dorkmaster, you're going to be facing the loser, obviously. So,
Oh, I can't wait.
got something to look forward to, and there is plenty of the SMZ3 2020 tournament going on, and more happening tonight, and even well into the morning, because people are crazy.
Always.
Yeah, there's another few being restreamed just after 11, around 11:10, 11:40, and then there's even some. Let me see. There's one at 1:10 a.m. and then another at 2:10 a.m. if you feel like being awake at that point, you've got plenty coming up.
Yeah, in the meantime, we have Mario Kart 64 going on SpeedGaming 2. We got Final Fantasy Randomizer going on, just starting over on SpeedGaming 3. And we're about to have Super Mario Bros. 3 point-based competition going on SpeedGaming Prime, main SpeedGaming channel. So, yeah, any final words from the runners?
I just want to say GG again to Lack, and it's pretty neat that the two of us got in the same group and matched up in the first round of this tournament, because Lack's actually one of the first people I ever started watching on Twitch when I was first getting into speedrunning, so he's kind of one of the reasons I got in the first place. So that was really cool. We crossed paths again like this. Everybody go give him a follow. He's a great dude.
Yeah, thanks. We are both big members of the Super Mario RPG community. So definitely check that game out because it's the best.
Isn't everyone?
Yeah, thanks for the commentary and the restream. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and great thanks to Triage for joining us on trekking for the match, and for all the fine folks over at in charge of SpeedGaming for the restream and organization and everything. So that about does it. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll see
All
you
right,
next
thanks.
time.